Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And if you guys watched my last episode where I pressure washed the engine bay of my Golf, you may have noticed something that's been bugging me out for a while, and it's probably the bane of many Golf 7 and 7.5 owners, and that is the shitty hood liner or bonnet liner that comes with these cars. Now, I imagine when they were brand new, they were fine, but over time, the hood liner warps and it just looks really tattered and doesn't look really good. And really, I think it lets down the overall aesthetic of the engine bay when you open the bonnet. So today I'm going to be replacing it with something cool, something I saw online a while ago. I'm not quite sure where I saw it, but it kind of baked into my memory and I was like, oh, that'll be a cool idea for a video and a cool idea for the car. So let me show you what I got. We got some bonnet insulation that I picked up from Repco, I believe. And this is sound and heat insulation. It's black, it's got a self-adhesive backing to it, so it should be easy to apply. What we're going to need to do though is I'm going to need to take the bonnet off. And I could probably apply it just onto the bonnet if I was doing it like this here, but I'm not doing it like that. So I'm going to need to take the bonnet off. I'm going to give it a good clean on the underneath so that it's clean for this self-adhesive backing. I don't want it to come loose after a while, so we're going to make sure that's nice and clean. Let's get hoodless. Let's get hoodless. Yeah, let's get hoodless. Let's take the bonnet off. Bonnet or hood? I like hood. I like hood. The hood, one syllable. Bonnet, too long. Hood's better. First thing we're going to need to remove is the window washer nozzle sprayer thingy-majig, right? So these just come off. You just pull them towards yourself and they come off. And we're going to then take this off and thread this whole thing through. Now we're going to do a little trick. What we're going to do is we're going to tie a little piece of string to the end of this. So when we pull this out, it pulls the piece of string through. And that way, when we want to weave it back in, all we have to do is tie to the piece of string on the side and pull it back through. I'll show you what I mean. These come out. Oh, hopefully you guys can see that from here. You just push this little black clip forward and that releases off here, just like that. So we'll keep this one on that side. And we'll do the same for this. So if you see here on this black thing, just push that forward and that kind of releases the pressure off that little piece there and pop that there. You always need to have a little trusty ball of string, you know what I'm saying? So we're going to tie this off onto this piece here. Give ourselves some string, and then we're going to come over to this side here and just going to unclip this and hopefully pull this through. And voila, string out on this side, string out on this side, so we can easily thread this back through with no problems. Let's remove all of these clips, which should just be a pinch and okay, I think I've figured out the technique. What you want to do is, can you see this longer side? You want to put the pressure on the longer side and just kind of pry it out. Let's see if that theory works. Yes, that's much better. Like I was struggling. Let's see. I already think, to be honest, that alone just looks better than having that shitty flappy insulation. Okay, cool. Since that's done, I'm just gonna loosen these. What are they? Maybe 13s. So let's do that. But now what I want to do first is I'm just gonna take a little pencil and I'm just gonna mark where these are sitting now on this bracket, just so that when we put it back on, I don't want there to be any weird body gaps. Okay, just crack them loose. And we'll crack loose the other side too. The bonnet is now off. And a few things I guess I've noticed since taking it off and taking the insulation off, that underneath isn't really sprayed as nicely as the top of the car. Obviously it has no clear coat on it, and you can still see some of the primer in some of these areas. My idea here is actually just to insulate inside these crevices and here. So what we're going to do first is we're going to prep the surface. So I want to clean this really nicely just to make sure that it gets some good adhesion. I'll probably wipe this down with some alcohol or something once we've cleaned this down fully. So I'm just going to hit it with a little bit of multi-purpose cleaner, wipe it down, and follow up with a bit of isopropyl alcohol just on the areas that I'm going to be focusing on. If you are going to be doing this on the floor like I'm doing, which is probably not the greatest idea, if you're going to lean on the bonnet like I'm doing now, lean on these structural supports rather than on this part. You could maybe dent it if your floor is not straight or if you're a bit heavier than me. I'm going to grab a little bit of parchment paper or baking paper, and what we want to do is I'm going to start creating templates. I have to stop the video there. Doing the templates with the baking paper really wasn't a good idea. I was rushing it. I really didn't think that through properly. It gave me really uneven shapes and it just didn't look good. I want my lines to be really straight, crisp, good curves, and for it to look really nice. The way I've thought about this now, you know, thinking with some hindsight, is I'm going to photograph the bonnet. I'm going to take it into Photoshop. I'm going to draw up some templates. I'm going to print it out and use proper straight lines and stuff like that, just so that we can get this looking really good. Okay, so here are the new revised patterns for the bonnet installation. Now, this makes me a lot happier. These are symmetrical, they're perfect. I've measured them, I've checked them against the bonnet, and they all fit perfectly. Listen, maybe you got a carbon fiber bonnet and you don't need this, but I think it's kind of cool for if you have an OEM hood. Luckily, there's enough of this to do this again. A note to you guys, if you're gonna do this and you do mess up, have some isopropyl alcohol on hand, because once this adhesive sticks to that bonnet and you pull it off, it's a mess, right? There's just fibers and glue everywhere, and the isopropyl, just spray it down and basically wipe it up. Maybe take like a credit card, like an old credit card or something, or a plastic scraper, and just scrape away some of that glue, and it worked a charm. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get back to tracing these out with this white marker, and I bought a pair of more industrial scissors that have a titanium coating. Hopefully these do the job. These are so much better at cutting this than my utility scissors. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a far more uniform shape, much neater edges than what I did previously with the blade. If the edges have frayed slightly, like over here, just a little lighter, and you can just neaten up the edges if you really want to get it looking really perfect. Just like that, and we are done cutting these things. That was a hand workout of note, but it's all done. I'm excited. Let's do a quick test fit and see what she looks like. Remember, press on the supports if you're going to be leaning on this. I really do need to get some kind of a stand to put body panels on. Working like this is just primitive, man. That's good. That's good. Just a quick note. When VW sticks this supportive part to the outer shell of the bonnet, there's this adhesive that sometimes curls up and over. Now, if you stick this down on top, it will create a bit of a lip. So what you can do is take it like a plastic scraper, and you can actually just chip it off. Be careful you don't penetrate the bottom of this too hard, because this is technically the bottom of your bonnet and you don't want to dent it. I had a piece here that was quite rolled over and quite raised, and I just removed it, but there was a bit of bare metal there, so I just hit it with some primer just to make sure that that part doesn't rust. Right, and now for the exciting part. This is a clean cloth that I used some isopropyl on earlier just to prep the surface. Remember, you want to keep the surface to be nice and clean so that the adhesive backing has something good to stick to. You don't want this stuff coming off, because that was the problem with the first one. Press down nice and firmly, really get that adhesive to stick. And like I said, if you do take this off, make sure you got some isopropyl alcohol on hand. That really helped me remove the first messed up version of this I did. There you have it, guys. We have finally got it looking good. I'm pretty happy with how this looks. It's now probably 10:30 in the evening. My better half is sleeping. I can't put this up on my own or back on the car. So tomorrow morning I'll put this back in the car and I'll do some detailed shots and we'll finish off this video. And there we have it, guys. I'm super happy with the way this came out. I think it looks a lot better, a lot more modern. It doesn't look as tired. And every time I open the bonnet, I'm not bugged out by those flaps. So I think for a little bit of money and a little bit of effort, it was a good solution to the problem. Let me know what you guys think in the comments and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.